Hello, everyone. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. How's you guys' day today? Um, this time I'm reviewing another tie-in novel to TCW, and this one is Wild Space. Um, this was released, you know, after the movie, and the novel ironically takes place after the Clone Wars movie. It takes place during the Malevolence arc. I'm sorry if I haven't seen the Clone Wars in a while, at least season one, so forgive me for that. And this novel, for the most of it, explains what Obi-Wan was doing during that arc, while Anakin and Ahsoka were rescuing R2-D2. Now, the beginning of this book takes place, you know, towards the end of Attack of the Clones, and flash forward, about a week after the movie, I believe. Now, in my opinion, of course, in my eyes, this is not according to the Reader's Companion. This has to take place towards the beginning of the war, but if you're on the camp that you don't think TCW can fit in the timeline, any chapter that features Ahsoka and Anakin, you kind of have to ignore canon-wise. But anyway, this book, continuity aside, I think is really good. In fact, I'm quite surprised. I expected when I was going to read something tied into TCW that it would suck. Because I'm making no secret, I'm not a fan of the show. I think it's overrated. I think 50% of the episodes, if not more than that, are garbage. And I thought all the tie-in material would be the same way. And I was surprised. Karen Miller did a really good job with this book. And I love the tie-ins, from the Jedi Apprentice series to the Jedi, certain other books. This does reference various EU sources. Now, this book actually utilizes characters that aren't utilized that often in the expanded universe. Padme, even though she's barely in the book, she actually, is in the book a decent amount. Bill Organa, a character that is barely in the EU, is one of the lead characters. Obi-Wan Kenobi, which in my opinion in the adult novels, I felt like Obi-Wan kind of got shafted. In fact, this is probably a great Obi-Wan story. If you're a fan of Obi-Wan Kenobi and you felt like the Cerberus Deception kind of sucked, I think it sucked. It was boring. It didn't have anything to do with Obi-Wan, really. It had to do with other characters, you don't really care about. This book actually gives us a character that isn't featured very much in the EU. He's mentioned, Bill Organa, and Obi-Wan Kenobi, and have them, go on an adventure together. And not to mention, this establishes how they became friends, which I love that. It's quite a shame that in my opinion, one of the best Clone Wars novels, I'm talking about in the Clone Wars timeline, is tied to TCW, which pisses me off that Dave Filoni, every time an author went out of their way to try to tie in their story to his show to improve upon his show and explain certain things that happen behind the scenes, he goes around and contradicts it. According to this book and the reader, this is the first time an attack was on Coruscant. Yet the Clone Wars show, it was established in season 3 that there hasn't been an attack on Coruscant for 1,000 years. One thing, I'm going to talk about this later, but it feels like Dave Filoni didn't communicate with the authors at all. This is the second time I've encountered this problem with the EU and TCW. It's a good story, regardless of the continuity hiccups. More in the timeline, actually. And this book actually, for sure, if you take everything TCW's with a grain of salt, that every single story that Anakin's featured as a Padawan has to take place before the Clone Wars movie. Now, is this worth your time if you're not a fan of TCW? I think it is. if you just ignored the stuff that's related to TCW and just focus on the Obi-Wan and Bill Organa stuff, I think you would enjoy it. I think it's a really good book. I think it's underrated. I felt like that I wished we would have gotten something like this during the multimedia project instead of the Cerberus Deception, because I felt that book sucked, boring. I did not like the writing style. It didn't really feel like Star Wars to me. And I felt like this book is what the Cerberus Deception should have been. Instead of getting a boring political thriller, you actually get a Obi-Wan and Bill Organa story. So yes, I recommend this to fans of TCW. If you're a fan of TCW and you're craving for more stuff related to TCW, or if you're just if you love the Clone Wars era and you just want more Clone Wars, this book is definitely, will actually satisfy it. This isn't a cash grab like, what I've been hearing from some of the other stuff that's tied into TCW. It's worth your time. I give this a classic rating. I do consider it one of the best novels in the EU. I consider it really good. In fact, it is so good that I think it'd be a waste if you pass this up, even if you have some form of prejudice towards TCW. If you can ignore how you feel about TCW personally, ignore anything related to Ahsoka and Anakin at this point being a knight, I think you can enjoy this story once you get past that. It's a really good story. It's a really fast read. I mean, it's not that difficult to get through, and I think it's really good. May the Force be with you. Next time, we'll finally, next time we get to the novels, review the last of the MedStar duology, Jedi Healer. Have a good day, everyone, and may the Force be with you always.